Greetings, automotive enthusiasts. Today we have for you a 1981 Delorean DMC-12. This is an amazing surviving time capsule DeLorean. It is a manual transmission, gray interior, and it's kind of an early car. I'll show you the VIN number, production date and everything here when we get inside the interior. But it does have the antenna on the fender and the creased hood, which kind of denotes some of the earlier features that they went away with. They went with a flat hood later, and then antenna in the left rear quarter panel. But this car is, like I said, this is this is a real deal time capsule here. This car has 2,600 miles on it. No, not 26,000, 2,600 and some change miles on it. It's an interesting car, and it's probably one of the nicest survivors that I've ever seen. I've followed the DeLoreans for years, and I actually have my own personal DeLorean with about 12,000 miles on it. There's actually a video of that car a little while back. I ended up just deciding to keep that car and took it off the website and kept it myself. But so this car is interesting. In 1985, for whatever reason, it got parked, looking at the Carfax, with about 2,500 miles on it. And then it pretty much sat dormant that entire time. But the good news is that it sat obviously in a very good environment. When we get to the underneath, and I'll explain all of that, and then even some of the top side here, we'll kind of talk about verifying mileage of cars and how they're stored is as if not more important than the mileage itself. But this is a legit 2,600 mile car. Like I said, it got parked in 1985, like I said, with about 2,500 miles on it. And then in 2016, it looks like it got discovered and resurrected. And at that time, it got a updated fuel pump. It got stainless steel fuel lines. So they kind of recommissioned the typical, static DeLorean, its fuel system. So they recommissioned the car, got it running and driving. And then it pretty much just kind of set. And then a dealer bought it, according to Carfax. And then it actually went to one of the big classic car auctions, and it was purchased there. And a friend of mine actually bought it at auction in 2017. And he never even drove the car once. He bought the car, and then it just went into his collection. He's got a really amazing collection of all kinds of cars, from muscle cars to Porsches to a DeLorean. So I actually had a car that he wanted recently, and so he traded this in to me. And since I have my own driver, if I didn't have my own driver, this one would probably not come to market. It would probably stay with me. But this is really an investment grade, kind of collector, museum type of piece. And I really like to drive my cars, so I would really, like my 13,000 mile one, it's got 12,000 and change, and I don't mind putting miles on that car. But this car is a piece of history. It's really, I hate to say, too special to drive, but I mean, the next owner, they can do what they want with the car. They can get in it and drive the wheels off of it. But at the value that these cars bring, if you were wanting one to drive, then it would probably make sense to get something with higher miles and more flaws. That being said, this car, what you want to do with this car is drive it to your Cars and Coffee, car show, put maybe a couple hundred miles on it a year, take it out and, exercise it. But I don't think this car is probably going to end up seeing daily driver service. So let's kind of start in on the car here. And let's start with one of the most obvious condition storage issues of the car is the eyebrow, the header panel. They call it the eyebrows and the warpage, which this car has none of. Which indicates that this car has never sat outside, because those fascias, they get eyebrows and they just warp something horribly. And it seems like the earlier the car, even the worse it is. But kind of giving you a little pan shot of that. So you can see that the fascia is absolutely beautiful. Original finish. Nothing has been done on this car. It is original paint. Even the tires are original, and I'll go over those, in detail later. But if you look at the paint on this, I haven't even touched this fascia. I haven't even sprayed a detailer on it. I just washed the car. I did use a stainless steel polish on the stainless, which makes it look nice and deep. So I did use a stainless steel polish on the stainless, but the fascia is all natural. So kind of zoom in here on the lights. Everything is perfect on this car. Even the spoiler is absolutely perfect. And that little grill in there, they retain water, and they weren't finished very quality, so they always get kind of rusty. Like, I got to take mine out and sandblast it and repaint it, but this one is absolutely immaculate. Look at even the clips. It just tells you the story of this car, and that's what these cars are. They're stories, or there's a story about the car. There's a history, and sometimes you got to be an investigator and kind of look between the lines when you don't have all of the documentation. If this was my grandma or dad's car and he bought it brand new and everything, well, that's one thing. But this one, I don't have all that information. So you have to look at the car. And even if you do know exactly where it has been and how it's been stored, doesn't necessarily make it a better car, that's for sure. Yeah, my dad bought it brand new and it sat underneath a tree for 30 years. Wrong answer. Not a good car. Looks like there's a little crack on that marker light. I just noticed that. Didn't notice that before. Delorean Go, and there's Delorean here in the States. I've got parts from various places. Lots of support on these cars for parts. I go into great detail later on the wheels and tires. And so just a quick overview there. Looking down the right side of the car, absolutely gorgeous. Unbelievable. The rockers are perfect. And there'll be a very detailed underside pictures and video underneath, so I'm not gonna bother sticking the camera under there for now. The windshield is nearly flawless. Actually, I just need to clean it. What's on its water spots from me wiping it, I didn't, it should have got the glass cleaner out. Shame on me, not a very good detailer. No, it looks good. The mirror is perfect, at least on the back side. Now I will show you there is some of the mirror silvering going bad on the mirror a little bit. It's perfect, functions perfectly fine, so not really an issue. But just showing you any flaws or issues. Looking across the roof is really nice. And I will go in detail there of the roof box. It is immaculate. So we'll go over that for you. All the windows work. Everything is nice. Doors close nicely. I'm not seeing, this is a really nice car. Not really seeing anything to point out thus far. Marker light is nice. Even this back hatch is really nice. Mine, the paint fades on these all the time. I'll go ahead and do a walk around on it while I'm talking about it. So mine needs to be taken off, and even at 12,000 miles and well taken care of, these cars age. So it really is a testament to how good this one is. But that rear louver is about as nice as I've ever seen one. All right, now go ahead and kind of focus in on the fascia, the rear fascia. Here, let me do this here. Let me go ahead and pop the spoiler here. Struts are all good. Okay, go ahead and pop the fascia here. We'll give it kind of a high overview. And again, that paint is absolutely immaculate. Kind of zoom in. These tail lights look like they rolled off the assembly line. Tag bracket. You know, one thing I would recommend on your tag bracket is get anti-theft torque screws maybe, because people actually steal these tag brackets and put a Back to the Future vanity plate and hang them on their walls. And I mean, these are not available original, only used. And they make a metal reproduction, but watch out for your tag bracket, because I've heard of them getting stolen. The rear impact strip is just phenomenal. Fantastic. And then I'll show you underneath the bumper when the car's on the lift. Exhaust pipes, still got the nice plating on them. I mean, it's just hasn't really been run enough to, I'll pop the hood later, or the engine lid, or whatever you want to call it. Go ahead and set that back down. Finish the overview on the outside first. Here's the marker light on the right rear. There's one little tiny ding right here. See that little ding on the quarter panel? Little bitty ding, like a door ding or something like that. Somebody dinged the quarter there. Very minor. That's about the only imperfection on the car. It's on the stainless side of it. Here's our roof. Everything is nice and even and flat. Again, there's no rust, no corrosion, no issues. There's one little ding right there behind the handle. I don't even know if that's a factory defect or what it is, but pretty much that and that little ding on the quarter is about all you can find on the stainless on this car. Original tires, full tread depth. Well, 2,600 miles worth of tread depth. Here is the passenger mirror. It is the same issue with the mirror silvering deteriorating a little bit underneath. Again, the windshield is immaculate. Right fender is nice. If you ever have an accident, do not hit your left fender, because the left fender is an interesting story. Delorean was geared up to, make thousands and thousands of these cars, and they had stamped out all of these body panels. Well, they were just getting ready. They had not stamped the next run of left fenders yet when they went into receivership. So left fenders did not get stamped. So left fender is the one. There's plenty of spare body panels, every single panel in this car except for the left fender, and they bring about $4,000, so do not smash your left fender on these cars. All right, let's go ahead and open the bonnet here and take a peek underneath there. All right, we got the bonnet open, and it is just pristine under here. Carpet, the seal, the lights. I mean, there's just absolutely. I'll pull out the tool roll there for you and show you that here in a minute. I'm not going to try to do that holding the phone in my hand there, but it is absolutely mint condition under the hood. All right, let me go ahead and pull out the tool roll. All right, I got the tool roll pulled out here, and I got it open there so I can roll it out for you. And it's all here. Check this out. How cool is that? Got the little screw deal for the jack, tire iron. The tire iron never been used except for me when I took the wheels off to clean them and then show under the video with the underneath. And then there is the jack. So pretty much all complete unused tool roll. Go ahead and roll it up and stow it back away. All right, I went ahead and opened the engine lid here, so I'll give you a tour of the engine bay, and it is just like the rest of the car. Unbelievable. Beautiful original condition, other than the stainless steel fuel lines, which is a plus. Some people put on a stainless steel header tank. I mean, if this thing was all deteriorated and old and chalky, crappy looking, I would probably change it, but as it is, and like I said, I think it looks really nice, and like I said, with the limited use this car is probably going to see, it's not a big deal. And even if you had a failure, it's not going to damage the car, shut her down, and you're good to go. And then I do have the bolts for the air lid. I had taken that off and forgot to put the bolts back on. So anyway, I know it'd be like, oh, the bolts are missing. And then later they did do a weather shield for the throttle wheel assembly. But, you know, this is an early car, so, you know, I'm guessing this is just before they made that update. Trunk engine bay light works. So we'll get a little bit closer. Here is that factory or dealer add-on cruise control system I'm kind of jealous of. I kind of contemplated taking it off and stealing it and putting it on my car, but I'm like, nah, I can't do that. It's been on this car its whole life. It just needs to stay there. I haven't tested it to see. I haven't driven this. I've only got it on the highway twice, and I forgot to try it each time. So not sure if it works or not. But I had an 82, and it had the same system, and it worked fairly well. It wasn't like a modern cruise control system, but it did the job. You know, you could kind of get yourself to a steady state. Again, that tank is really nice. But everything under the hood here is great. Belts are nice and not cracked. Again, with the limited use that this car, you know, prospectively is going to get. I suppose if you buy this car and want to daily drive it and take it on trips, you know, then go ahead and just figure on hoses and belts and tires. But that's pretty much the extent of it. And I suppose, I don't know, everybody talks about changing the tank, but it really just depends on what condition the plastics are in. And you can tell by looking at them. But it's just absolutely, this car doesn't leak anything, runs perfect. You saw that on the little driving there at the beginning, and then you'll see all the driving afterwards. But here's all our stickers. Everything is nice. Pan back here a little bit. Engine lid is really clean. All the stickers look nice. It's just an absolute time capsule under here. I mean, as these cars keep going up in value, you know, you're going to want to see cars like this as, you know, kind of like blueprints for, you know, when they're restoring cars. You know, although there's a lot of information and there's a lot of people that restore these cars, they know what they're doing, and, you know, they have the information and they've seen original cars, so they kind of know. I mean, because, you know, they built 9,000 of these plus, so it's not, you know, it's not like it's something super duper rare per se. But there it is. Go take a tour of the interior next. All right, we got the door open here. And one thing that we did, the headliner over the driver and passenger, they notoriously sagged down. Well, it had sagged, and then somebody re-glued the original material, and it had wrinkles in it, and it didn't really look that great. So we did have the headliners recovered, just the ones over the occupants. The T-bar, or whatever you want to call it, is all original. But I'll kind of show you this. I've got struts on order here. The door strut's a little weak on the driver's side, so we're going to put new door struts on it. I didn't get them in before I made the video there, but here is our data plate. August of '81. There's our Production date. So while I'm up here, let me go ahead and give you a tour around the roof box here. And you can see that, and I haven't done anything to this. It is just how I got it. I got a little handheld light in my hand to go along with my phone, so if you see some weird lighting, but you can see that it is just absolutely mint condition in the roof box here. So kind of playing with the lighting and the focus here. Come on now, cooperate. Maybe it's better without it. So I'll go ahead and show you the seat here. And it is fantastic. Even the carpets, threshold moldings there. Very nice. And even the seals, like these seals take a beating, and they always, even low mile cars, a lot of times, you know, there's a little bitty chunk right there, a little piece of it. Just the way these doors close, they beat up the seals pretty bad. And a lot of times these get replaced, but you know, replaced because I want you to see, I mean, this is exceptionally good condition for being original. You know, which kind of, when everything's been replaced, then you kind of really wonder about the condition of what came off the car, and you begin to, you don't have the answers that you need when you're really trying to determine, hey, is this car legit or not? Okay, getting inside here. So I'll show you the binnacle, and it is absolutely perfect. Gauges are perfect. All the needles operate exactly as they should. These things are notorious about jumping around and weird weird things, but this one here works perfect. You know, and they jump around, and I mean, it's not even that big of a concern. It's just a really common thing. So we'll kind of get down here on the pedals. Sorry, I should have, I didn't detail down here. Went and drove the car, but I guess you're seeing original. I mean, I haven't even vacuumed this car. This is how I got the car. Got a little leaf right there. Sorry. But I'll probably clean that up and take a few shots there and show you how nice it is. But you get the point. Got the buzzer wire unhooked. That way when you get the doors open, it's not screaming at you. Here's our steering wheel. Mint original condition. I'm gonna go ahead and slide in the car. I'll show you that. Actually, it's a good way to show you the door panel here from inside the car. Door panel's right out. There's one little teeny nick right there. One little teeny puncture and something right there. Pretty minor. Switches are all nice. Oh, the little mirror. Darn it. The little mirror switch right there. There's a little thumb wheel that goes on top of it. I have it in the glove box there. I just need to glue it back on. It kind of popped off. Here's the early style door check straps. They just put them here on the handle, and then later they relocated them here, like on my 83. So you can see the door panel, really nice. And then we're gonna show you the visors. We'll cross the headliner here. Very nice condition. Backside. Very nice. Mirror's nice, not cracked. Original radio. Temperature control. Look at that panel there. Look how clear and clean that is. And it works perfectly too. I mean, every time you switch the modes, you know, it's just a positive click, click, and then you hear the vacuum operating and no vacuum leaks. So everything on the climate control, including the air conditioning, works exactly as it should, as with the original radio. And the clock works. I got the power off, and that's your dimmer switch. So check out the shifter ball here. Trying to get the right lighting for you. Zero wear on the shifter, and shift boot is nice. The original cigarette lighters there. The windows work. I assume the defrost works. I haven't tried it. This isn't a car that you really get out into the ice per se. So here's our turn signal, our horn, high beam lights, wipers. And again, you know, if you look, there's, you know, as cars get used, the contact points show wear, and there's virtually no wear on this car at all. Go ahead and do the passenger door panel from inside the car, a little easier. Let me check on that right there. It is a little discoloration of some sort right there, but you can take a little vinyl dye and just touch that up and make that disappear. There's the controls for the passenger side. And in the dash here, I'm gonna zoom forward, but as you can see right here, not a crack. And then mine shows some warpage in here from the sun. Look at that, absolutely perfect. And that dash is perfect. I mean, so many of these cars are just so beat. I'll show you this one over here. Look at that, unbelievable. Shows you this car has definitely lived a charmed life. There's our shift boot, it's nice and soft. One thing to really note about this car is, and I can't really show you this, but the smell of the car. This car absolutely smells fantastic. So many of these cars had water intrusion, and then, you know, they sat there and got moldy and mildewy. You know, most of these DeLoreans smell pretty bad. And this one has had no water intrusion. I kind of stuck my head underneath the seat and the carpets, and there's not a stain one. You know, just looking from the front side, looking underneath, you can see the carpets. A lot of times you'll see it's brown, nasty looking. I mean, like I said, these carpets have not been, they haven't even been cleaned. I wanted to get this video done. Sorry, a little bit rushed, you know, because I got people that want to see this car, and so I need to show it, you know, and get it. I got people interested in the car, so I need to get the video done. So a lot of times I do spend time. I mean, I've spent a lot of time on this car, but I spent probably the most time underneath the car, which is actually, you know, seems kind of crazy, but that's one of the most important elements of this car. Let's jump around to the other side. All right, we got the passenger side open, and there you can see our redone headliner. And here is the passenger seat. Go ahead and zoom in a little bit now. There's one little teeny, again, a little color scratch there. But nice shape there. Little mark right there and right there. But you don't really see them unless you just get buried down into it. Stitches, or a couple broken stitches there towards the back. Amazing for the original interior. There's a view of the console from this side. Another little discoloration mark there. I have to get Dr. Vinyl over here and have him do a little color match and a little color touch up. He does that real well and you don't even see it. Again, here is the headliner. Try to get it to focus here. Floor carpets they're immaculate. It could use a little bit of steam cleaning or shampooing or whatever, but nice otherwise. Here's our door seal. Here's a little mashed spot right here. And I'll go in on the roof box close here once I get done with the seal. This car sure is clean. And it's kind of cool too to see the door actually. Edges of the door is kind of cool. Lighting works. All right, now let's get in here on the roof box. And you can see absolutely mint condition. Nothing, it's just original. All kinds of issues have been had in this area, so seeing one like this is one of the most important areas of the car to look in on. There you have it. Beautiful. Not a speck of rust. Would flip the seat up here. I forgot to do it on the other side. Oh, we do have a brand new interstate battery in the car. So there's the carpets. The netting is nice. The carpets are really nice, as you can see. The back deck. And look, most of these carpet nettings are always droopy and sagged. You can see this one's still nice and tight. So very nice. I wonder if I can show you underneath the seat. So, see? Very nice. Let me show you behind the driver's seat. Carpets, again, just look fantastic. All the plastic trim, everything is nice. See, look how nice those carpets are. I'll attempt to open this box here with one hand. Look at that. This is a notorious rat's nest. Many a rat's nest has been found in there. Again, it's a testament to the survival of this car, or the storage of this car, I should say, and then the subsequent survival. How cool is that? All right, well, there's your exterior and interior tour. Let's move on to the next step. All right, we got the DeLorean up on the lift here. So I'm gonna kind of do a walk around and just kind of talk about stuff and point some stuff out here. Here we go. So I guess we'll go ahead and start at the back here. One thing that you'll notice is the lack of heat on the muffler, and then on the rear fascia. These were notorious for getting hot and warping. So, and you can see how clean this guy is. Still got the plating on the exhaust. All the brackets, a little bit of corrosion there. But you'll see in some, I watch these cars pretty close, and you'll see some cars and they'll have replacement brackets, where the cadmium plating is brand new, but it's really not original to the car. It makes it look nicer, but it's kind of good when you can actually see the whole story, the wear and age consistent throughout the car. Here's our alternator, Delorean 80 amp. All right, we'll kind of go ahead and show you this frame is just absolutely amazing. So it's going to be pretty detailed here. The DeLorean's one of the few cars where the underneath is actually more is important to see as the top side. I mean, the stainless steel doesn't rust or anything, so it's just whatever physical damage you can see. There's nothing hiding. There's no Bondo. There's no rust, stuff like that. But it's the underneath of the DeLoreans where the rubber meets the road. There's the data plate in there, but you can't really see it. You can't really read it. But you can see just how unbelievably clean this car is. And then I'll kind of show you underneath here, and then I'll lower it down and show you the top side of the wheel assemblies. Right now, I'm just trying to give you a really good overview of everything here. Everything on the bottom side. Here's our trailing arm. Man, the epoxy is just amazing. Axle boots are great. Shocks aren't leaking. No oil leaks. Boots are all good. This car does have like a dealer installed cruise control, which was really cool. I had an 82 that I had and sold. It actually went to Australia, but that car had that cruise control. It's a really nice feature. I have an 83 also that's my driver, and I wish it had cruise control. So you can see the transaxle here. Super nice there again. Boots and axles, all good. And like I said, this frame is probably one of the nicest original frames I've ever seen. I followed these cars pretty closely. I think this is my 4th or 5th DeLorean. Little tin shields there. Nice shape. Now, these hoses, appear to be original. So the deal with this car is this is an investment grade, collector grade car. So, a lot of people honestly, this car is probably not going to be driven. It's probably gonna, or maybe just driven to car shows and this and that. I doubt somebody's gonna take a 2,600 mile DeLorean and then just start daily driving it. I mean, at the value of this car, it wouldn't make sense to do that. I mean, I guess you could. There's nothing stopping you. But so my point is, if you're driving to car shows and so on and so forth, I mean, these are items. I mean, if you sprung a coolant leak, it's worst case scenario, you got a AAA tow. But these hoses don't really move back here, so they're not. I mean, they could fail, but it's not going to be the end of the world if you do have a failure. Or you could go and, you know, get a hose kit, but I'm not gonna change it, like I said, because they're original, and this car is such an original car that I'm gonna leave that up to the next owner, because if I were keeping this car in a collection, I would not change it. I mean, if I was the end buyer of this car, it would be a show car. I would keep it as original as possible, you know, while being safe. This car has had the fuel lines updated. That's a little different story and a little bit issue in my opinion, because those, if they fail, that can cause you engine fire or a complete burn down of the car. So that is a safety thing. So that is changed, and I would change. So this car's kind of set up how I would want it. Same thing, you know, with the tires. They're the original tires, and you can drive them to a car show in town. Would I go long distance, 80 mile an hour on the highway? Not really, you know, because it's not worth the risk. Would they probably do it? Yeah, but it's just not worth the risk. So if you're going to put the car in service, pull these tires off and set them aside. They're special. They're only got 2,600 miles on them, so it's going to be, you know, as time goes on, these cars are going to become more and more valuable and more collectible. So you're going to want to keep all of that original stuff. There's our brake booster, master cylinder. The fluid looks a little bit dark, so we are going to flush the entire brake system. So that is gonna be done. So don't have any braking issues. Look back in here, look at the tag on the rack. Look how nice and clear and shiny it is. Again, all the cadmium plating is really nice in the original. More hoses. You can see the Cosmoline still on the hose. Boots are good on the rack. Bushings are good. Nothing, this car, I mean, I didn't buy this car new, but you can really tell if you know cars. When you look at cars, you know, you can kind of tell how they've been, you know, how they've been stored. This car does not show any age, any, you know, sitting outside type of scenario. That's the problem with some of these cars, is there are some DeLoreans that are low miles, but how they were kept is just as, if not more important than the mileage on the car. Now here's the only, you know, kind of hickey on the car. So here's your tow hook right here, and it's just a little welded onto the frame right there, you know, for a tow truck. And some genius, this is before, you know, this was like this, we didn't do this, but some genius tow truck driver ripped, you know, had a winch on there and ripped the tow hook off of this side. Doesn't affect the car at all, and you could grind that down and weld on a new tow hook and epoxy back over it and make it look nice. You could pretty much make it look, you know, with the right guy, you could make it look original and factory again, but it's not anything that I would be concerned about. You still have the one tow hook, and not really. Most of the time, these cars get strapped down by the wheels nowadays. Some genius tow truck driver. So kind of showing you, and even here on the backside, look how nice the spoiler is. Fans. This car is very original. Original radiator, original fans. But see, look here, look at the bushing here. See, no cracking, no issues at all with that. All right, I'm gonna drop it down a little bit so we can see on the top side a little better. All right, dropped it down to where I can see on the top here. I hope you all like the way I got the wheels pulled off here to be able to see everything. It's not something I've normally done, but this car, like I said, this is a special car, so I'm really trying to give it all the, I want everybody to see exactly what they're buying. And here's the, look at that, it still has the original grease where they put the springs in. There's our control arms. And here's our brake pads. Zero lip on the rotors. I'm gonna drive it a few miles. It'll probably clean up a little bit. You know, the problem is they haven't been driven, so a little bit of surface on the rotors. Go on the other side. Here's our wheels here. Got them all four parked here. All right. So you can kind of see everything here. Arms are super nice. Even the hardware and the bolts. Very, very nice. Again, the boots on the rack are good. Here's our hoses. Here is, after we talked about the booster, here is the left front brake pads. All right, we'll go around here to the back. Okay. Let's see our top sides here. There's just zero rust on this frame. Here's our brake pads. Those might be the original brake pads. Shocks are completely dry, no leaking at all. There's our wheel there. And I'll talk about the tires. I'll get the tires put back on and we'll kind of discuss those a little bit. Again, there's the and rear. All right, we'll go ahead and slip the wheels on and I will give you a close view of the wheels. Well, we got the wheels back on here. Now this is nice here. When it's up on the lift, I can show you the wheels here. So you'll notice that these wheels, they're original condition. So this is the original tire to the car. They've never had, I mean, you can tell that, you know, there's had one weight installed on this wheel. There's no other wheel marks. So what I'm doing is, you know, I'm documenting and I'm kind of verifying, and this is, you know, giving you, you know, my take on this car, because obviously I didn't buy this car new. So you've got to, you know, do some investigation. And, you know, and I've been in this business over 30 years. So you get, you know, I know DeLoreans well, but then, you know, I know cars in general, and there's just things to look for. The way that you know, like I said, that these are the original tires is because there is no sign of removal, and that is the original weights. And then the tread on these tires is pretty much full tread depth. These are the original NCT HR 60s. And it's kind of interesting. There's no real flaws on these wheels, but there's flaws from the factory. They weren't exactly the best finished wheels. Kind of interesting. Of course, I got to get the DMC logo square, but like I said, there are no damage to the wheels, but there are some imperfections, but they are factory imperfections. And then here is the right, this is the right front that we are dealing with. And you can see, and where is the wear bar? Yeah, see, you can see wear bars right there. Not even close, no wear in these at all. Go over here to the rear. Right rear, same thing. You know, there's a flaw in there, but that's a factory flaw. These are the original wheels, original finish, original tires. And here's the tread. Now I'm wanting to show you these angles so you can see the height of these tread blocks. Like I said, I do follow these cars close, and you really have to pay attention to the car because, I mean, these cars, they have notorious with broken speedometers or people unhooking the speedometers and that sort of thing. So you've got to watch out for that. You know, so how do you document it? Well, wheels and tires is a good way to give you, it's just one of the clues of the car. Here is the left rear. Now, I saw a car sell this year, and it had very, very low miles on it. But what was interesting is the original tires that went with the car looked like they had about 15 to 20,000 miles on them. And I didn't really bring it up. I just noticed it, kind of kept it to myself. But that's one thing, you know, that didn't make a lot of sense. You see, you look for those little clues and those little details. But you can see the tread depth of these tires. Full tread depth there. And there's a little factory flaws. And we'll go over here to the left front. What was nice when I had these off, I was able to clean them and give them a nice cleaning back and front. So kind of nice while you got them off there to do that. And looking straight on, you can see the tires. And I've driven this car one time and I got it up to highway speeds and it didn't shake and it didn't give any, I was actually surprised. I thought it was gonna shake and stuff like that, but it actually didn't. And then here again, we have the original weights. Looks like one of them fell off there. The original weights on the car. When I was washing them, they're so old that a couple of them fell off, and I actually cleaned them up and glued them back on in the position that they came off. So trying to keep it good there so you can see inside the back side of the wheels. Guess I should have shown you those. There's their little weights, but there's, other than one that had fallen off, there's no, I glued that piece of that one back on. Well, there is our detailed underview video. Now this video is definitely long, but like I said, we're documenting this car, it's original car, so this is gonna be a template for people that may be restoring a car. They can use this video. That's why I'm going through this detail. And then also too, a person interested in purchasing this car, I want you to see exactly what you're getting. And you're getting a premium car with, you know, obviously the car speaks to the miles.
All right, we're headed out in the DeLorean right now. So this is a little bit different here, a little bit out of sync. I'm doing the driving video here before I do the walk around, just because the losing some daylight, and I can do the walk around video under the lights. So driving along, I got 2670 on the miles, 2,670, and we're gonna take this DeLorean out for a spin and see how it drives. It's pretty fun. It's a pretty cool car. I love in here how it I mean, it's just such a time capsule. I mean, it just looks and smells like it came off the showroom floor. Pretty cool. But everything is good to go. Everything works. The radio
you get from your doctor, but with zero copay. No.
Radio works. AC, climate control, all of the when you turn the positions, all of that works. Lights, all of the gauges here. Kind of go ahead and show you here, but everything is dead on, working perfect. Oil pressure, temperature, volts, everything. You know, a lot of these cars have kind of wonky, funky situations with the gauges, but not this one. It is really nice. No issues at all with the gauges. Clutch, I mean, the car's, you know, only got, actually though, there was a really low mile car that sold the other day, and it had a new clutch, right? And you're going, well, if the car's only got a few thousand miles on it, why does it need a new clutch? Well, again, my point about how it's stored, if you have a car stored in a barn or outside, you know, just like your brake rotors. Here, I'm going to get this light here. Yep, got one of them anyway. I'll keep talking. But it's just like your brake rotors get rusty, and you know, and then they get kind of locked up. Well, your clutch pressure plate and flywheel can get all rusty when they're exposed to the elements. And so even if you got a car with low miles, a lot of times the clutch will be frozen to the flywheel. So there's another, you know, indication of or situation where condition of storage is as important as the mileage. We'll kind of keep talking about this car. The brakes work really well. I think that this car was basically parked in 1985 with about 2,500 miles on it, and then it was resurrected in 2016. So it was a one owner until 2016. Who knows the situation or the story of that original owner? But and then in 2016, it got new fuel pump, updated fuel pump assembly. It got, I'm guessing they probably rebuilt the calipers. I don't know. The brakes work fine, but the pads and the rotors appear to me to be original. So, you know, everything's working really, really well. The fluid looks a little bit dark, so we're going to go ahead and have the brake fluid flushed out, and you know, fresh brake fluid, and make sure that it's got fluids, because this car is probably not going to be driven much, and you know, so something like that, might as well go ahead and circulate some new fluid through it, and that way it'll be fresh for another 10 or 20 years or whatever. But yeah, she just drives fantastic. I'm not pulling out in any traffic here. I'm not taking any chances with this car. Oh, one thing I didn't do, I didn't check the cruise control. Well, not sure how to operate the cruise control. I have to get back with you on the cruise control. I didn't even think about that, and now we're back on the city streets, and I don't want to put too many miles on this car because of, you know, we're going to definitely want to keep it, you know, under 2,700 miles. But yeah, it's a wonderful car. You know, the windows work. Just everything operates as it should. All the lights, turn signals. Here are the beans. Runs good. Not a hot rod by any means, but it does run good. When they did the fuel pump too, the one good thing is they did put on the upgraded stainless steel fuel line. So that's a pretty important, even if you're going to leave a car original and keep it show, I think that's a kind of a forgivable update is fuel lines, because that's a safety hazard thing. If you have a radiator hose that springs leak or something like that, that's not the end of the world. But you spring a leak on a fuel line, and that could be the end of your car for sure. So definitely, good. So I think this car's had just the perfect things done to it. Perfectly functional, perfectly operational. You can drive it to your local car show. If you're going to drive it, you're going to probably want to put belts and hoses and tires and stuff on it. But like I said, this is an investment grade car. I don't think anybody that's going to pay the price that this car's going to sell for is going to turn into a daily driver. But these cars are so iconic. There was just a little over 9,000 of them made, and this is kind of an early car. It's a really cool car. It's a fairly early car. It's got the antenna on the fender. It's not early enough to have the gas flap, but I don't care for the gas flap personally. But it does have the creased hood, antenna on the fender, so it's a pretty early car. And when we do the walk around, we'll show you the production date and the serial number of the car and everything. But these DeLoreans, they just mean so much to me. Back in my time, we got, Back to the Future. I saw all the Back to the Future movies in the theater, So, I was a kid. This is a car of my era, and it's just such an iconic car. I absolutely just love it. But looks like I have to turn around to get the road closed here. I'll just kind of keep checking this thing out. Well, there's reverse for you. And it just idles perfect. Starts up, fired it up, it goes right to an idle. It really just runs. It's actually, I'm kind of surprised at how well it runs, considering how little this car's been driven. It idles dead on. Temperature of the fans cycle perfectly. Come on and cycle off. No issues there. But these cars, though, I have my own DeLorean. It's got about 12,000 miles on it, and it's just it's my personal driver. I mean, I really love these cars, like I said. And aside from the movie, these cars, they're really a piece of automotive history. It's an incredible underdog story. John DeLorean, giving the brass at GM the finger and making his own car company. And there's a lot of sketchiness along with that whole thing with him and Colin Chapman of Lotus. This car basically has a Lotus Esprit modified frame, essentially, and adapted to the DeLorean. And so it's a real, it's an interesting car, because it is kind of, there's a lot of DNA with an Esprit. The same transaxle, modified frame and everything. But then they have this composite body with stainless steel panels. And, there's never been a car like this, and there'll never be a car like this again. It's a real piece of history, and, from a political standpoint, economical. When this car came out, it couldn't have debuted at a worse time in history. With the economy in 1981 and interest rates sky high, it was kind of really a victim of the times. And so it's just one of those things where everything went wrong. Just a comedy of errors, per se. But it's kind of cool, because I have it's kind of funny, because there's a trio of related cars they're kind of cousins. You know, you got the DeLorean, then you've got the Lotus Esprit, and then you've got the Renault Alpine. And I actually have all three. It's kind of my little trio collection. And you know, what's cool is, you know, the DeLorean is, you know, was styled by Giugiaro, and you know, and it's just an epic, timeless design. That wedge shape, and it's just driving this car is really an experience like no other. You're driving it around, and you don't want to have one of these cars if you don't like strange people, you know, coming up and talking to you, because everywhere you go with this car, it's gonna draw a crowd, and it's gonna draw people, and you know, and you get some, you know, real enthusiasts, and you know, you get movie buffs, you get, you know, car buffs, and then you get the typical questions and jokes, you know, where's the flux capacitor and all that stuff. But you just have to laugh. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's you know, it's the car, and that's the emotions that it draws out of people, which is a good thing. You know, it's a conversation starter, and it's just a lot of fun. But I absolutely love this car. If I didn't have the one that I have, I would probably not be selling this car. I'd probably be keeping it. But anyway, so just a little bit of my connection here with the DeLorean, and you know, it's just, I hope this is a longer video, but there's a lot to cover on this car. You know, this is an expensive car, and so there's a lot to talk about and cover. So the buyer, you know, is fully, you know, we present what we're selling. So we appreciate you riding along. Look us up, Eurasian Auto, on Facebook, EuroasianAuto.com. Like and subscribe. Hit that notifications button, because you never know when we might have your next dream car. Have a great day. Happy motoring.